Last Sunday afternoon, at my parents' kitchen table in Bali, I watched my mother go quiet for the first time in about 30 years. On the table in front of her were 3 pieces of paper: her Centrelink statement, my dad's super statement, and a page I'd printed out. The real, line-by-line cost of living retired in Bali in 2026. Not the Instagram version with the visa rules and the hospital bills in it. She read the page twice. My dad checked one number 3 times, and then neither of them said anything for a long while. This video is that page. Every number on it, where it comes from, and the parts of it that argue against Bali. Because there are parts that argue against it, and you're getting those too. By the end you'll know exactly what my parents' retirement costs in Australia, what the same money buys in Bali, and why a woman who has cleaned other people's buildings for 22 years went quiet at her own kitchen table. I've been going to Bali for 20 years, but the older I've got, the more I've watched the retirees over there, the Australians who live in Sanur year-round, and I've always wondered whether they knew something my parents didn't. Turns out they did, and it's written in numbers, not brochures. Some context, because the people matter more than the math. My dad is 69. He poured concrete for 40 years, and retired at 66, when his knees filed their resignation. My mum is 67. She was a school cleaner for 22 years. Remember that. It matters later. Together they pull the full age pension for a couple, which as of March 2026, is $1,810.40 a fortnight combined. That's about $3,900 a month. On top of that, Dad's got a super balance, $380,000 built up since compulsory super started, and he draws $1,800 a month from it, tax-free. So all up, about $5,700 Australian dollars a month. That's the household income. Hold that number. Now here's the thing about my parents. They budget like it's a second job. My mum has a spreadsheet older than some of my friends. Every Thursday she reconciles. They are not in trouble. I want to be clear about that. They own their lifestyle, no debt, and they'll tell you they're fine. Dad's exact words: "We're fine, mate. We're just careful." Careful. Remember that word too. They've been to Bali with me twice. They loved it. The food, the people, the mornings, and both times Mum said the same sentence on the flight home: "Pity you could never afford to live like that." And understand, they did everything right. That's the part that gets me. They worked, they saved, they paid their taxes, they retired on time. Both of their Bali trips were my shout. They would never have paid for the flights themselves. This is a couple who did the Australian thing exactly as instructed, and their reward is a spreadsheet and a heater timer. So I made Mum a deal. I said, "Give me one Sunday. I'll take your exact Australian budget, your real numbers, not averages, and I'll price your exact life in Bali. Same money, 2 versions of one retirement, and if Bali loses, I'll say Bali lost. Here's where the $5,700 goes in Australia. And everything here is their real spending from the last 3 months. Rent. They rent. They're part of the fastest growing group of pensioners in the country, renters, and a small 2-bedroom unit near the water in Bali is $580 a week. That's $2,500 a month. Nearly half the income. Gone in the first line. And that rent line is not standing still. 3 years ago, that unit was $490 a week. Then $530. Now $580. The pension went up by $33 a fortnight this March. Their rent went up by about $220 a fortnight over the same 3 years. That's the race every pensioner-renter in this country is running. Groceries, $980 a month, and that's with my mum treating the specials catalogue like a form of scripture. Electricity and gas, $310. It's winter as I record this. The heater goes on for 2 hours in the evening, not 3. 2. That's a negotiated settlement in their house. The car, fuel, insurance, rego, servicing, call it $480. You need a car where they live. It's not optional. Health, gap fees, the dental fund, scripts, ambulance cover, $220 a month, averaged. Phone and internet, $140. Contents insurance, $70. Licenses, streaming, the bits and pieces, $160. And then there's a line my mum calls life. The counter meal at the club on Fridays. Birthday money for the grandkids. The op shop. The caravan fund. There's a caravan fund. They've been saving for it for 4 years. That line gets $420 a month. Add it all up. $5,270, which leaves them, on a good month, about $450 of slack. $450 between 2 people who worked a combined 62 years. Dad looked at that number and shrugged. That's just what retirement is now. Now the Bali page. And before any numbers, geography, because this matters. When Australians picture retiring in Bali, they picture Seminyak or Canggu. And if you watched our last video, you know those are tourist prices for a tourist life. Retirees don't go there. They go to Sanur, flat, walkable, quiet beach, a promenade full of morning walking groups, an expat community that's been there 30 years, and a brand new international hospital that opened in 2024. That's the board we're playing on. Then the gate. Indonesia has a retirement visa. It's called the Silver Hair Visa, the E33-AK, and it has real rules. You must be 55 or older. You must show passive income of $3,000 a month. Pension, annuity, investment income. Call it 4,600 Australian. You must hold health insurance. You cannot work, not legally, not a business, nothing. And it runs 1 year at a time, renewed through an agent. About $1,000 a year, forever. And here's the first thing the brochures don't tell you. A couple on the age pension alone does not qualify. $3,000 a month is more than the pension pays. Full stop. Without Dad's super, this video ends right here. The only reason it doesn't is that line, $1,800 a month from super. That's the key to the whole door. Now the second thing the brochures don't tell you. The age pension follows you overseas, but it shrinks. After 6 weeks outside Australia, the supplements stop. A couple drops from $1,810 a fortnight to $1,476. That's about $3,200 a month instead of $3,900. $700 a month. Gone. Just for boarding the plane. And it doesn't stop there. Stay away longer than 26 weeks, and Centrelink starts looking at how much of your working life was actually spent in Australia. My parents passed that test easily. 60-odd years each. Never lived anywhere else. But it's a real rule. It bites real people, and you need to know it exists. Dad checked that twice. That's the first number he checked 3 times. So here's the real income for the Bali version. The reduced pension, $3,200, plus the super, $1,800. 5,000 Australian dollars a month, about $3,200 which clears the visa bar by about $200 bucks. Barely. The bar matters. Now the spending. 2-bedroom villa with a pool in Sanur on a yearly lease. Real listings right now, about 1,500 Australian a month. Utilities and internet, $250. Food, local markets, warongs, 1 proper Western dinner a week, $800. A cleaner, 3 half-days a week, $280 a month. Transport, a scooter and a driver for the big day trips, $180. Health insurance for 2 people in their late 60s, $500 a month, and that is the honest number, nobody lowballs. Cash medical on top. GP visits are $40 bucks. A dental clean $50, call it $120. Visa, averaged monthly $130. 2 massages a week at $12 each, $110. And yes, that line is staying in. And life, the Bali version of the club counter meal and the grandkids, birthdays $330. And the 2-street rule from our last video, it works for leases too. That $1,500 a month isn't on the beach, it's 2 streets back, and that's exactly why it's $1,500 and not $3,000. For that you get 2 bedrooms, a proper kitchen, and a pool you can swim laps in before breakfast. A bintang at the beach bar down the road is 40,000 rupiah Sanur prices, not Seminyak prices. Mum's Thursday market shop. Fruit, vegetables, chicken, the lot, comes in under 40 bucks. And the cleaner isn't a splurge. That's a proper wage for a local woman named Kadek, who is very good at her job. Mum asked about that specifically. Of course she did. Total, $4,080 from an income of $5,000, which leaves $920 of slack every month. Read that again, because it's the whole video. In Australia, on $5,700, they keep $450. In Bali, on a smaller income, after the pension cut, after the visa costs, after full-price health insurance, they keep more than double. And the $920 isn't even the point. The point is what the days look like. This is where my mum went quiet. She didn't go quiet at the villa. She went quiet at the cleaner. 22 years, she cleaned classrooms. She's never in her life had someone clean her house. It never once occurred to her that she was the kind of person who could. In Sanur, that's $280 a month, and it's completely normal. And Dad did the math on the mornings. No heater negotiations, a swim before breakfast, every day, 12 months a year. Food that isn't planned around the specials catalog. He sat there for a while, and then he said the sentence I'll remember. He said, "We were careful our whole lives so we could stop working. Nobody told us we'd have to stay careful after." Then he checked the visa income line for the 3rd time. $5,000 a month. $4,600 required. Clears it. And he went quiet too. Then Mum asked the question that told me everything. She didn't ask about beaches. She asked, "What's the nearest good dentist?" Practical. That's when I knew the numbers had landed. She wasn't dreaming, she was planning. And then she went back to quiet. Because planning for my mother is a silent sport. Now, the parts that argue against it, because they exist, and if I skip them, check the comments, someone smarter than me won't. 1. Medicare stops at the border completely. That's why the insurance line is $500 a month, and why it can't come down. Routine care in Bali is genuinely good and genuinely cheap. BIMC, Siloam, the big public hospital in Denpasar, and that new international hospital in Sanur. But the serious stuff, cardiac, cancer, the big surgery, means flying to Singapore or flying home. And that is what the insurance is for. If your health is complex, this math changes. Be honest with yourself about which side of that line you're on. 2. The visa is a year at a time, renewed forever. You're a guest permanently. There's talk of a longer-term permit after several years, but you should plan as if the answer is annual renewal, always. And since April, immigration has detained 62 foreigners in Canggu, Ubud and Seminyak for visa offences. The era of winging it is over. You do this properly or you don't do it. 3. The grandkids are a 6-hour flight away. FaceTime is not Friday dinner. My mum said that, not me. It's the one line in this whole video that costs nothing and weighs the most. 4. If a couple doesn't have the super, if it's pension only, this doesn't work. The visa bar alone stops it. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. And one more for the armor, because it's the hardest one. This math is for 2 people. If one of them passes, the survivor drops to the single pension, and the single overseas rate is about $880 a fortnight. But it's on their list now, because real plans include the hard pages. So no, this is not a video telling your parents to move. Half the people watching should not do this. But everybody watching should see the numbers, because the numbers aren't really about Bali. They're about what a careful retirement costs in Australia in 2026. And what the word careful has quietly come to mean. So I'll put it to you the way I put it to them. If it was your money and your mornings, would you retire in Bali? Or is Australia home, full stop, whatever it costs? And if you've actually done it, you're in the comments, I know you are. Tell the class what it really costs. The real numbers help everyone. Tomorrow we're back to lane 3, and this one's a live wire. 7 completely normal things Australians do all the time that are straight up illegal in Bali, and one of them is in your suitcase right now. If you're watching this on the TV, grab your phone, search Tripzone, hit subscribe. It takes 10 seconds, and it's how this channel survives. As for my parents, they didn't book anything, they didn't pack. But my mum keeps the Bali numbers on the fridge now, right next to the specials catalogue.